welcome to Deacon's Third Wine and Wisdom. I'm Emily Foster, and I'll be moderating today's discussion on LinkedIn and how to best leverage your network. In previous segments, we discussed personal branding and networking, which is a perfect segue into today's topic of LinkedIn and how to better leverage your network. In a deeper dive, we're going to be talking about building or enhancing your profile and etiquette. And with me today, I've got two of Deacon's LinkedIn experts, Jerry Diaz and Amanda Johnson Schroeder. So listen, Amanda, if I'm new to LinkedIn, tell me what's the most important thing about building your profile?
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I really feel like, when you have a LinkedIn, when you're trying to build a LinkedIn profile, to really have a dynamic profile, but you also want a professional picture to start off. A lot of times, when we're working through or scrolling through LinkedIn, when we see people that upload maybe selfies or unprofessional pictures, it's not professional. So we just keep scrolling. And so I think it's very important and very imperative that you make sure that you do have a professional picture that you do upload, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a professional platform versus Facebook or Instagram or any other type of platform. So really, having a strong picture and making sure that your profile is, professional and dynamic.
Absolutely.
Now, if I've been on LinkedIn for years, what advice would you have for me to enhance my profile? Gary?
Well, that's a great question. And LinkedIn has over 575 million users. So standing out on LinkedIn, it certainly is a challenge. But if you've been on there for years, the first thing you want to do is to keep your LinkedIn account relevant. What does that mean? That means if you change jobs, update your account. It also means that your resume should mirror what's on LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that it's as recent as possible, that your LinkedIn account has gone through the next iteration, or the next change, or the next evolution of your career. So it should reflect that. And definitely, if your profile, you can change the words on your profile, and definitely you want it to jump out. Same as the profile picture will make it jump out, the adjectives that you use to describe yourself will make it jump out. So you should refresh it at least once a year.
Yeah, anything else about refreshing?
Yeah, just basically what he said, making sure that you keep everything up to date, current. Contact information is actually an important one. If you change addresses or phone numbers, you want to make sure that you're keeping your current and up-to-date contact information as well as email addresses on there. But yeah, absolutely.
I think we need some wine because those are some good points.
Oh,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Okay, so but what about those recommendations and endorsements?
Oh, this is
Yeah, absolutely. Take it away.
This is one of my favorite things. I think the recommendations portion on LinkedIn is just absolutely a must. It's an opportunity for you to reach out to your contacts, the people you've worked with, or people you've worked for, and write you. It's not a letter of recommendation, but maybe it's 2 or 3 sentences recommending you and the work that you've done. So it's definitely a must. It's like an instant letter of recommendation or reference.
Interesting.
And just to piggyback off of what he said, I have a lot of candidates that I work with that will actually print off their written recommendations off their LinkedIn profile and send them to me so I can scan them and upload them to their file. It takes a lot of time and thought for somebody to specifically sit down and come up with a recommendation. They put a lot of thought into it. So I think that speaks of volume when you do have recommendations on your LinkedIn profile.
One more thing to add on that, I think you need to be very conscious of who you're asking for that recommendation. Make sure they'll follow up and always thank them, obviously, and then make sure that it's someone that maybe was in a supervisory role, at least in a peer relationship with you.
Okay. Next topic, I want to talk about connections. So how do you connect with people, or what's the best advice on who to connect with?
Me?
Well, whoever wants to talk.
I'll see to a man.
I think me personally, I try to connect with as many individuals as possible, but not just random people. I try to connect with people that that I'm specifically looking for, or maybe are in a similar industry. When I do connect with these individuals, there's an option for, you can either just hit the connect button, or there's an option to send a note. I always say send a little quick personal brief note just to let them know that, hey, I'm connecting with you just for networking reasons. And a lot of times if you don't do that and you just hit connect, a lot of times people just kind of think you might be kind of a weirdo or something, and you don't want that, because they're like, well, I don't necessarily know this individual, or I don't know this person, and they're just connecting with me. So make sure that I think it's important that you do put a specific little,
Yes.
brief note why you're connected.
Questions, won't LinkedIn block you out of your account if you do?
Yes.
Yes.
So similar to Facebook Jill, LinkedIn actually has something very similar. So if you continue to connect with individuals without sending the note, and you're just connect, you'll get basically what they call LinkedIn timeout. And so they'll actually put you in timeout for X amount of time before they will allow you to connect with any other individuals.
It's a form of spam.
Yeah.
It's really what you're doing, and I think really being strategic as to who you want to connect with. For example, you want to connect with people within your own industry or within the same skill set that you have. You definitely want to send them that note and have it be friendly, not be salesy or anything like that. Have it be just yourself and make that connection on a one-to-one relational level as opposed to being, even though LinkedIn is for business people, you don't want to be too business-like because it kind of turns people off.
Right.
You want to build that inner relationship.
Now, here's a question that it didn't come pre-prepared, I just thought of it. What about when you connect with someone, or say you accept somebody's connection, and immediately they send you a note, and it's a sales note? That's so annoying.
So what I do, I get these on a day-to-day basis, and I typically ignore them. I just either delete them, or I archive them, or send it to spam. I like when people genuinely send me messages that are directed specifically to me, and they're genuinely trying to network with me for whatever reason. But if it comes across as too salesy, then you can automatically bet that I will delete it. And I'm assuming the same goes for a lot of other people that we connect with as well, if we come across that way.
What about LinkedIn groups? What are they, and should I join them, or should people join groups?
I think you should join groups. There are groups on LinkedIn for anything, no matter what your skill set, what your profession is, or what your industry is. So you definitely want to seek out those groups and become a part of them. Usually it's once you find the group, you can search it on LinkedIn for whatever topic. It'll come up, you ask to join the group, and usually there's a moderator, somebody who controls the group, and you may have to wait 24 hours or so before they accept you. But once you're in that group, you have a whole section of people that you no longer had access to, that you could ask career advice on. They could, you're talking about different ideas. People that you could network with, because LinkedIn, what it is a social media platform for business people to network.
And I do have another quick tidbit on groups. So let's just say you're trying to connect with individuals, and maybe their profiles are private, and maybe they haven't connected with you or accepted your connection, but you really do need to get a hold of them for whatever reason. If you can go through their profile and figure out what groups they're a part of and join those same specific groups, you can automatically send them a free message through the group that they're associated with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great stuff.
Now, also, if if you're connected with them in a group, can't you send them free messages and rather than use an InMail?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, if you're part of the same group that they're in, then you can automatically send them a free message through the group without sending or having to spend what I call, or what we call InMails. So.
Okay, so what about how often should people post on LinkedIn?
That is a great question. And answers will vary on how often they should post, but you should post, I may post 1 week 3 times or once. You definitely want to post, you want to be a frequent poster. You want to be active on LinkedIn.
You definitely want to be active for sure.
And why?
Because you're visible to
Okay.
the network, to your network. And then when your posts show up and others maybe might be interested in whatever it is that you're posting, and then they're engaging all of a sudden in your post, and they might share, and then their network sees your post, and then they might share. So it's kind of like a domino effect or a chain reaction. So you want to be active on LinkedIn just to get more followers or more connections and to stay active.
I have a follow-up to that, just an example. I noticed on my post, sometimes I would post something, and then obviously it tells you who liked it and within your network, but there's also a tab that says how many times your post has been viewed. And I've seen sometimes on posts where, it's been viewed, by 2,300 people or something like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you realize that a lot of those viewers are outside of your network, so they now know who you are, what message is coming across, and it just opens up your network.
Right. Now, we did get a question from the audience. Thank you, guys. I was going to ask this too. Talking about posting how often, but what kind of content should we post?
It really depends on what your profession is. I mean, as for recruiters, We post new positions that have just recently come available. Who do you know? I mean, we'll update new jobs, new careers, and also not just, to keep it, we try to keep it career focused as recruiters, but we'll also try to put fun tidbits or facts, just again to keep everybody engaged. And we might put little trivia, or whatnot.
I know that here at DEAC, for example, on Mondays we have motivational Mondays and things like that. I think you want to be uplifting and motivational. The one thing that's sometimes the line is skewed, people sometimes try to treat LinkedIn as if it were Facebook, and it's not. So you want to try to stay away from things that are polarizing,
Right.
okay? You want to try to be uplifting, you want to be motivational, you want to be optimistic, and you don't want to be polarizing. So stay away from being polarizing, lift people up, and just shine a light on yourself and your organization.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say,
I'm going to drink to that because that was good. So.
be sure to make your posts attractive and engaging and fun for all of your connections and followers, because the more fun your posts are, the more engaging, the more people are going to be attracted to your post and attracted to following you, and then before you know it, they start sharing your post,
Exactly.
and then their network starts sharing your post, and it's like a chain reaction.
Okay, but what if someone comments in a negative way to something you posted?
Oh, hey, we're all on social media, so we know that at some point, someone will post something negative or make a negative comment to what you've posted. I think, when they go low, you go high, okay? So what that means is this: if they go negative, you answer them, you respond, but respond to them affirmatively, saying, hey, thank you for sharing your insight. We're taking whatever the point was into consideration, and we're taking steps to rectify that or correct that. I think what you don't want to do is get into a quid pro quo with them back and forth. You don't want to do that. So you want to go above them.
I mean, there's always going to be those keyboard cowboys, as I call them, and, they're always going to maybe say something negative or something that's out of line, and I agree with what Jerry just said. Just make sure that you always rise above and you always comment positively regardless of what they do say.
Because I think one of the things to remember when we comment on something especially like that is that on LinkedIn we have our own personal brand. But we also have the brand of the organization that we're representing. So we have two brands to represent. So always keep that in mind when you're handling adversity online.
Well, these were great tips on building or enhancing our profiles and etiquette. Is there anything else that you guys can think of for the audience?
I do have one more, I believe, comment. I think that when building a profile, individuals that are building their profile, they really need to be as specific as possible with keywords. I can't tell you how many times as a recruiter we're typing in specific keywords, and maybe somebody actually has that experience, but they don't have it in their actual LinkedIn profile. So when building your profile, make sure that you do, you specify exactly the platforms that you've used currently or previously with your companies, what you've done, just be as specific as possible, because that is going to help you not only network, but even for, career opportunities in the future, so.
Yeah, I think 100% what Amanda just said. I think you should be succinct and creative. Really take time when you build your LinkedIn profile. Take time to do it. Don't try to run through it in 5 or 10 minutes. Really put some thought behind it and develop a profile that is eye-catching, it's succinct, and really the idea behind the profile is for you to connect and garner a conversation. Okay, so you don't have to throw everything in there, but you want to throw just enough and make it attractive enough where people want to reach out to you and speak to you, and they know who you are.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today for our Wine and Wisdom. We have our Wine and Wisdom third Friday of the month, so our next Wine and Wisdom will be, Friday, January 17th. If you in the audience have any topics that you'd like to hear, please send us a message, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Use social media, send us a message.
Yeah.
One thing, yes. One thing, if you missed our first 2 episodes on personal branding and networking, you could go back to our Facebook page, Deacon Recruiting, and go ahead and take a look at that and some great content out there. And see you guys on the 17th.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy
Cheers.
holidays.
Cheers.